the guy who took the lead in this was Jagmohan Dalmia.
Oh, JD as I called him.
Quite a few players who played the 2011 World Cup where we won were not there. There was no Sehwag and Gambhir. Their omission from the team came quite suddenly.
They only clashed here in the Champions Trophy.
The only time ever.
Only time.
Yeah.
And it's just 5 deliveries.
But the fissures had been, were evident even some months before the 2017. That's when that became his last assignment.
But then he called up and apologized once he was told.
He realized that he offended the sensibilities.
Diplomatic incident, Ayaz.
It's in the air. It's a 6.
Hi there, welcome to Century of Stories, or rather A Century of Stories Cricket, brought to you by IDFC FIRST Bank. And I want to just start by saying I want to thank all the people who are writing in and congratulating us. Numbers have gone up, millions are watching around the world. So Ayaz has come back. Ayaz, you've been very popular. Everybody says bring Ayaz back. In fact, they want you to play the Legends tournament that's doing the rounds right now.
I've got ripe for that now.
To be honest, you've been a legend for some time. What comes after legend? Is there a next step after
Retirement, Lifetime Achievement Award, and
that?
we go
India
there.
mein mat bolo. We don't have retirement scheme here. All right, let's see what our topic for today is. It's very interesting because we are recording this just pre the start of the Champions Trophy 2025. And Ayaz, the birth of that tournament, again, growing up, to give context, back in the 70s, 80s, when you people were not around, many of you, we had the World Cup, which was a big deal, 50 overs. And then slowly we had these small tournaments that started coming. The Prize Series was famous in Australia, for example.
Yeah.
Then they had this 4-format tournament thingy where you could play up to 4 teams, and you want to call it like a mini World Cup because 4 teams would be there, but you weren't allowed to play more because that would then become World Cup-ish.
Yes.
Just to make
it would
it clear.
encroach on the World Cup kind of
territory.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had that mushrooming left, right, and center. Then suddenly, out of the blue, we got this actual second version of a World Cup called the Champions Trophy.
Yes.
So how did that start?
I mean, there was a lot of activity around ODI matches at that point in time. We're talking of the mid-1990s and heading towards the end of the century. And as you mentioned, that tournaments were mushrooming everywhere. And I think somewhere the idea was, and I think the guy who took the lead in this was Jagmohan Dalmia.
Oh, JD as I called him.
Yeah, and he was also the ICC chairman for a while.
Yeah.
The idea was, and he was in the vanguard, which I thought was very smart and which I think should be done more aggressively by the BCCI even now. You be in the vanguard to spread the gospel of cricket. You get teams playing from countries which are not just your regular teams, the top mainline, frontline nations, but also not just the marquee nations, but also the associate members, give them opportunities to play. And therefore, it was called the ICC Knockout Tournament. To start with.
Is it?
The Champions Trophy, yes. The nomenclature. In fact, the second tournament was named as the ICC Knockout Tournament. So, before that, I think, if I remember correctly, it was the Wills Knockout Tournament.
Yeah.
Carrying the tag of the sponsor at that point in time. But the larger, issue was, of course, how do you spread? So, initially also, what happened?
Sorry to interrupt, but basically, Jagmohan Dalmia is the guy who wanted to take cricket to the rest of the world.
Correct.
So
By that time, India had become
the powerhouse. The biggest gun in the West.
The arrival of cable television, which took the drama or the richness of cricket, and especially Indian cricket, to households all over the subcontinent and beyond, it just kind of changed the whole financial dynamics of the sport in India. What we see today has its origins there. Look at the 1996 World Cup. That's where cable TV started.
Correct.
So after that, there was always this discussion that cricket has become restricted to these many countries. Yeah. So you'll find that
we've been fighting non-cricket people with this argument forever. Who watches your sport?
Correct.
There's only 10 countries, etc. Yeah.
So, interestingly, that a couple of the earlier tournaments, Champions Trophy, were actually, one was played in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Where the
first one is Bangladesh.
Yes, and the Bangladesh team didn't feature.
Which happens in cricket sometimes.
It happens in cricket sometimes. But of course, now it's changed. The host country obviously
So even
has a team.
back in 98, it was 8 teams, the smaller format?
Yes. It was 8 teams.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So 1998, Bangladesh with no Bangladesh. That's where it starts off, and then it becomes a knockout tournament. It's called a knockout tournament in the subsequent one, and they decide to go with the 2-year patch as against the 4-year patch.
Correct, because you didn't want to intrude on the World Cup, ODI World Cup. When you create so many properties, several properties, and the format remains the same,
And similar.
then there are obviously issues of overlap. So you avoid that overlap, and you also ensure that you get the quality players coming in. I mean, if it overlaps, there's one thing. Nowadays, the buzzword is workload. How to manage the lives and careers.
But I was thinking about this again. We
players.
are digressing unnecessarily. But I was thinking about this, and when say a Sunny or somebody from the past says they should come back and play Ranji, which is correct, no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, we were playing only 50 overs and Test matches in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
But quite a lot of them.
No, but there was no. You're not playing the circuit of this T20, which doesn't leave any. I mean, if you
see, these are shorter games. They're 20-over games. Bowlers are bowling 4 overs. In ODIs, they're bowling 10 overs. In Test matches, they may be bowling far more. So the pattern used to be, in the old days, 12 to 14 Test matches a year, 45, 48 ODIs in a year.
So you're telling me
and then domestic cricket.
No, but you're telling me Kapil Dev or Ian Botham today, if they were born in this generation, would be able to do this workload? I know they never missed a game, for example, and played everything.
I know. But, I think also to put it in perspective, the workload of the body also has to do with how you see it mentally. The players are thinking differently today. They're looking, a guy who comes into the cricket arena now is looking at a 18-20 year career.
Right.
And they're saying, this is my
bread and butter.
It's livelihood.
Yeah. You shouldn't say bread and butter. It should be cake or something. It's about bread and they make so much money. I mean, there's no bread and butter.
How did James Anderson
play till
extend?
40?
Yeah, play till 40. Because he gave up on limited overs cricket.
True.
And he said, I'll focus on red ball cricket. Now, you need an enlightened administration to allow you to do that.
As we speak, he's playing another year of county, though.
He's
re-signed at 41.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's get back to Champions Trophy. So 2000 is the big one, where Kenya gets to host it.
Yes.
And India discovers some great talent also along the way to the final.
Yes. Yuvraj Singh, there's Zahir Khan, and who went on to serve Indian cricket for 15, 16 years. In a sense, Cyrus, is not dissimilar from what it is now in 2025 as we head for the Champions Trophy. There is a host of young talent which is coming in, and we hope that they will play for 15, 18 years, much like Yuvraj and Zahir Khan and others of that era. For instance, Harbhajan Singh, that same cluster, that same group.
What do you think of these two now, the standout players from 2000? I mean, as the tournament went on, this young boy from Chandigarh hitting the ball perhaps harder than anybody else in India.
Yeah. I mean, Yuvraj had made a name for himself in junior cricket. And, there was lineage. He was son of Yograj Singh, who hadn't played much for India, but he was quite a character, Yograj Singh.
He still is.
He still is. Yeah. So, I mean, and at that point in time, he was touted as the fastest bowler in the country.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, he was...
He's Kapil Dev's contemporary.
Yeah, I mean, Kapil Dev was a great bowler.
Yeah.
But fastest bowler for a spell of time was Yograj Singh.
Oh, is it?
Then he fizzled out. And then, stayed connected to cricket as we know now, but in a very different way. And then there was Zahir Khan who came in from the innards of Maharashtra, if I might put it that. And then Yuvraj Singh. So there was what India had lacked for many, many years.
I can't remember Zahir's bowling. Was he able to move the ball both ways and all the...
he was quick.
And he was quick in the beginning. But was he as developed a bowler as he was later?
No, obviously he was not as skillful. He developed a lot of skills later, and especially after he spent some time in the county on the county circuit. That's where he became, as they say, a complete bowler.
No, but you talk about Jasprit Bumrah just changing everything and everybody saying the best ever, this and the other. Possibly there's a way to go in his career still, but that's a possibility. But Zahir, for some time, a lot of people said was perhaps the best we had as well. Would you go that high?
I would get not all time, because there's Kapil Dev to contend with, but he took over from Srinath.
Yeah.
Because by 2000 Srinath was kind of
on his last legs.
In the evening of his career. So Zahir Khan, then Venkatesh Prasad, and then some of the others who came in, Ashish Nehra, subsequently. The whole assembly line of fast bowlers.
And left-armers that we suddenly got.
Yeah, a lot of left-arm fast bowlers, yes. And Zahir turned out to be exceptional from that group, which came post, at the turn of the century and subsequently. For about 12, 13 years, I would think he was, easily India's
and he got
best
better and
fast
better.
Bowler. He just got
as
better
did
and
Yuvraj,
better.
at least in the white ball format. But 2000 is when we lost the first ICC final. Because 83, remember, we won, watched the movie.
Yes.
And then, we lose in 2000, after which we've lost a few finals. So some people say, I wouldn't use the word Panvati or Panati and all that, but some people say that it sort of started, the Champions Trophy started that trend.
Yeah, that's one way. The other way of looking at it is you were always in the final. So, 2003 World Cup against
So you're okay
Australia.
with number 2, not number 1, is it?
No, not okay with that. I'm just saying that, look, it was also... I think what was also happening at that point in time is that you were getting a team with a lot of depth and balance. So India's strength used to be batting.
How did we lose to New Zealand?
So, New Zealand...
Good team, always
very
a good team. Always does well.
Has been a
great
very good
record
team.
in ICC
Yes,
championships.
Fantastic. So, that had to pay dividend somewhere.
But
at
Sachin
some stage.
Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, sort of Ganguly, the new guns like Yuvraj, Zahir.
Yeah, I think the young guns or the new guns had to get a little more experience, richness of experience of playing at the international level, which happened subsequently. That's why in 2003, ODI World Cup, India was in the final.
Once again, the same thing happened.
2011, of course, we won the World
The
Cup.
neighbours of New Zealand against us in the final, and
Yes.
2003.
Yeah.
No, so these slips happen. It just tells you this is a great thing about cricket also.
Yeah, and also sport, you can't say that I will win all the time. You can sometime when you're...
Muhammad Ali did, but
or the Australian team under Ron Bradman, the Invincibles.
the Invincibles, yeah.
Or the West Indies under Lloyd for a while.
Yeah. So let's talk about 2002. Happy memories. Well, sort of happy.
Yeah, we won or shared the title along
Shared the
with Sri
title,
Lanka. It was a quirky tournament in that sense. There were rain days available. In fact, 2 rain days.
Weren't used.
And both can't be used because it rained on both days and around the same time. So you can't keep extending. It was not a timeless tournament. So you had to shut it at some stage.
I guess
So you shared the
easy to
title. But I think
criticize
what
in
was
hindsight.
interesting in that tournament, Cyrus, was the semi-final between India and South Africa. 190 or 192 for
Right.
one. And then
Gibbs on fire.
and then South Africa kind of nosedives, and that's where
The choker tag came.
The choker tag.
I'm sorry to jump in, but I couldn't resist.
Came
Yeah.
and then of course got more enhanced over the next few years
As they continued
as
to-
they continued to flounder
Yeah.
in big tournaments. So
I think that's really fair, but okay. Yeah.
yeah, so it was in a sense it was very good for the home country Sri Lanka because they won the title or shared it with India.
But very quickly, if you had to choose, who would have won if you had to play this game out? Do you think India had more potential to win that 2002?
I would think so. Sri Lanka at home always dangerous, but I think India had the, to me it looked a better team even then.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's look at 2004 for a second. The West Indies revival for me and you, big West Indies followers and lovers of cricket. And I believe that if cricket is to survive, West Indies, Pakistan have to be there. These two teams are the romantic teams of cricket. But Lara, and I found out this a little earlier in the day actually. I didn't know if this is true. Shoaib Akhtar, the fastest bowler of his generation, playing against arguably the best batsman of his generation along with Tendulkar and gang. They only clashed here in the Champions Trophy.
The only time ever.
Only time.
Yeah.
And it's just 5 deliveries.
Yeah.
He's at his fastest. He's Lara at his best. And it's short and fast. And the 5th ball floors Lara. Hits him on the back of his
Gets him.
head. And knocks
But that's
him
why
out.
it remains in memory because you're looking forward much anticipated clash between Lara and Shoaib Akhtar.
I know.
And then it kind of ends in 5 balls.
Yeah.
And it ends with an event. It's an episode.
Yeah.
It hits him on the back of the head. He kind of crumbles to the ground.
And Shoaib was concerned.
Shoaib was concerned.
Yeah.
And so was everybody else
Yeah.
actually. Getting
It
Lara.
looked bad. It looked
yeah.
bad. It's,
Yeah, it looked
well
bad.
before the tragic Phil
Not
Hughes incident.
easy
Yeah.
to kind of, get Lara
Yeah.
wrong-footed in a sense. Or
Of
in
course,
the wrong,
Lara's
wrong
critics
position.
will say that, super fast bowling, this, that, and the other. You always hear this, but my point is everyone
Yeah,
is
and
suspect.
Lara he was past the middle of his career, but he was not right at the fag end.
True.
In that sense, there were still 2-3 more years remaining for his career to wind up. So to get him into that kind of a situation, it was always because Shoaib was so difficult to pick, so difficult to pick, and especially when he was bowling the short stuff. Because
It's also possible that the first 4 balls weren't as quick as the 5th one.
it could be, but that's a bowler's ploy, no?
True.
So.
But how sad that 2 of the titans of the era never actually played across formats against each other in a longer time. So we'd have seen Lara at his best, playing square off the wicket on the offside. This guy bringing the ball into the batsman, doing his thing.
That's because bilateral series to the West Indies had become less frequent,
Yeah.
and especially for a country like Pakistan, or for them going to Pakistan,
Right.
So the contest between these guys, even Lara and Akram and Yunus, for instance, there are not too many.
Less. Although he got a big double century there in a
Yes.
test match. But going back 2004, West Indies win the tournament.
Yes.
With some unheralded players. In fact, they win with, I think, 8 or 9 down in the end in the final. One of the best finals
Yes.
that you could have witnessed. So, a little revival for us West Indies lovers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ian Bradshaw.
Ian Bradshaw, yeah.
Bradshaw was
Unheralded.
So he and Courtney Brown.
The
I think
keeper
they were the
took them.
arctic. Yeah. So and there was some there was climatic problems in the West Indies. There was some hurricane and there was
right.
some destruction and devastation.
So it
And
brought some-
came as a huge solace and relief.
I think Lara mentioned that in his thank you
In his,
speech
yes,
as well.
he did that, and just to see West Indies win something after such a long time was so significant and so important.
But sadly, 5 balls, Shoaib Akhtar, and that's it for Lara, and we won't know what would have happened if those two clashed in reality over a long period. Financial frauds are becoming more sophisticated each and every day, and protection starts with education. So get answers to all your questions about financial frauds at IDFC FIRST Academy with flexible interactive content covering everything from spotting frauds to safeguarding yourself. Learn how to keep your finances secure and much more. Visit idfcfirstacademy.com for free access to all this priceless information. Let's talk about 2006. Also controversy in the CT. This is what I remember.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. After winning, Australia win 2006.
That was in
and
the
2000
prize distribution, if I
2009. Yes,
remember
yes,
correctly.
yes, yes.
When
Yes.
I think
In India.
little abrasive.
Yes, the leader
Ricky
of
Ponting, Ricky Ponting being
the Australian team.
carrying the aggro of the field onto the dais.
Didn't like the politician proximity to
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Or being part of the team celebrating,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
And
So I think he kind of
he physically
moved him aside or
in a sort of
shoved
rough
him.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, in a rough way. I
Well,
think
for Aussies, it's not rough. For us, it's rough. For
Yeah,
them,
for
it's like
us.
normal.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
mate, it's something like that. Yeah.
so. I think
But then he called up and apologized once he was told.
he realized that he offended the sensibilities.
Diplomatic incident, Ayaz.
Yeah, it became
Going
a
back to body
diplomatic
line now.
incident.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So and you remember, in that phase we had a couple of such incidents. In 2008 when India went to Australia.
Correct.
For that, there was a whole drama that was
What do we
played
call
out.
it? The Andrew Simon's gate.
Andrew Simon's Monkey Gate, whatever.
Collusion Gate or whatever, yeah, Monkey
and
Gate, yeah.
pretty hostile series in that sense.
So
India
always
versus Australia, everything
Australia,
building
India-
up to this current stage.
it's a soap
no?
opera. There's always something. Even the BGT just concluded lots of moments. Virat Kohli with some journalists, etc.
Yes,
Everything that
yes.
happens on field, off field at the same time. Yeah, wow. CT. The legacy
I
of
quite
CT
like it
continues.
actually when there is.
I'm not against it. A little spice.
Yeah.
Don't hit your politicians. Be
No,
nice to
not
them.
that. No
Yeah.
physical thing should be
Yeah.
done, but
little spice
Yeah,
doesn't
you
hurt.
need some spice.
Cricket can't
Yes.
just be cricket.
Yes.
I'll quickly mention that I think Saurav Ganguly was captain in 2004. Is
Yes,
it? If I remember?
2004.
And then subsequently his captaincy slide happens.
Yes.
2006, Rahul Dravid is captain. Again, the slide happens. I'm looking this from a negative perspective
Yeah.
all the time for some reason. But Rahul goes to West Indies
it's
and then,
in a sense coincidental, but it happened.
yeah. Is it possible that the CT, between the finals that we lose, etc., subsequently, and the fact that some of our iconic captains sort of,
Yeah.
disappear from the scene, from the
Yeah,
leadership scene?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the CT or the performance there. It had to do with other extraneous
Okay, cricketers are very
factors.
superstitious. Huh?
They
You
may
know
be.
better than me.
Yeah. So they wear their shoe
Yeah, all
first,
that.
left,
All that.
reverse,
So
first,
championship
right.
mein maine khelega.
But Saurav Ganguly's, his loss of captaincy and all the turmoil that he went
Coincided
through
with,
the change in the coach.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with losing or winning a tournament. So I think that, or Dravid
Should he
for
have
that
stayed?
matter.
Let's ask you. Should he have stayed after the 2004 CT? Should he have stayed for the next couple of years as captain?
Should he have been retained as captain?
As captain.
He was still, they just fell out so bitterly.
Yeah.
And I think that at that point in time, the cricket administration in India went with the coach
Right.
rather than with the player. So, and that created a
Little differently when Anil Kumble was coach.
little different when Anil's tenure was very brief.
Yeah.
And of course, it reaches its kind of culmination, his role as a coach, or in the 2017 Champions Trophy in England.
Yeah. We can jump to that. We can go back in time. We can go
Yeah.
up and down. That's fine. Yeah. So we were present. I was present in 2017. IVM, where we work, sent me all the way to England.
But
to
the
watch
fissures
final.
had been, were evident even some months before the 2017. That's when that became his last assignment. And there was, they had their whole selection process by which a coach is chosen.
Right.
So,
Somehow I feel they use that just to disguise the blame, or so they share it.
Could be,
It's like
but
a
I'm
firing
saying-
squad when you have 30 people and you don't know which one is
so
actually.
you have to apply
Yeah.
And if you don't officially apply, then you're not eligible.
Right.
And if you've decided that I don't want to have anything to do with this, I'm going off. Somebody else will apply. Then other people applied. And then I think Ravi Shastri.
applied, yeah.
Ravi Shastri became coach again. He had been coach earlier. And he
For
came
short,
back.
Yeah.
Not, from 2015 to 2016, about a year and a
Full
half.
year he was coach?
Yes.
Sorry, Ravi, we stand corrected. We'll 2017, let's talk about that because you brought it up. Again, crack team. You look at the names on that sheet.
Yes.
Crack
Yes.
team and, great 1, 2, 3, 4, fantastic batting to come and etc. We
And
played
great
at
performances
Jadeja
till the
and Ashwin.
final.
Yeah.
Till the final.
Till the
I mean,
final was
yeah.
without a blemish.
Yeah.
Final was at Oval. I got tickets, went there with my family, with my young son and daughter, and my good friend Kunal Vijayekar, and we watched the first half where Pakistan just, I think Fakhar Zaman went berserk and a couple
berserk.
of others.
Absolutely,
340.
yeah.
I mean, it was just, I already felt we were in trouble, but you never know. And if you haven't been to England and watched the match in England, it's another experience, right, Ayaz?
That's true. You
It's
enjoy
just-
watching cricket in India. Yes.
Fabulous. The light is even wonderful. And there's the Pakistani crowd, the Indian crowd, and we sort of were hanging together. And
But were you heckled over there? Did they?
no, they were very nice. They came in,
recognize
no,
you?
they
and-
recognized me.
Yeah.
They came and they started
You
talking.
showed
and-
your Popeye.
I don't think they really were impressed by that, but they were sweet. The two countries' representatives got along really well. If this was a diplomatic setup, we would have done really well for both countries. However, as good Indian boys do, we decided after the third wicket fell for 20 or 30 odd in our reply.
Might as well go home.
Yeah, might as well. A lot of people did at that point. Because I think once Kohli got out, said, goes back to Bradman, when the big alpha gets out, it's like,
Kohli was at that time at the peak of his prowess.
peak of his prowess.
and
So, but we
purple
just,
patch.
you could see what we've all our lives we hear that when the Sachins get out, the Kohlis get out, the Laras get out, that silence, that deafening silence, like a death.
sullen silence.
Sullen silence. And we left the stadium. My son refused to leave. So young man, he said, no, I want to watch the game. He, wearing his heart on his sleeve, watched
He's a
India
true
lose.
blue
Yeah.
cricket lover and
Yeah,
an Indian.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but it was something else. But we're talking about this so-called curse.
something similar happened, not in the Champions Trophy, but in the ODI World Cup 2019,
Right.
where India played New Zealand in the
Right.
semi-final.
In the semis, yeah.
And we lost 3 wickets.
Yeah.
There was a run chase. Again, it spilled over into the second day
Second
because
leg,
of
I
rain.
remember, yes.
And then you lost Rohit, Virat and Dinesh Karthik, and that was it.
But then New Zealand was given a very cruel lesson from karma, because the final itself was how should we call that?
Yeah, true.
Debatable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shrap de diya.
Exactly, with the ball going over the rope, etc.
No, but the 2017, in a sense, it was an anti-climax where India or Indian fans and supporters were concerned because India just looked like a champion team. And that in the earlier match against Pakistan, they had beaten Pakistan.
They had beaten Pakistan easily.
Yeah,
And we
I mean-
hadn't lost actually to Pakistan, except the CT is where we started losing to Pakistan in ICC championships.
Yes.
2004 is the first year, the first time we lose in an ICC championship to
ICC,
Pakistan.
yes, that's
Otherwise,
true.
we had the better of them for so many years.
Yes.
In quite a few tournaments.
Generally, we've had the better of them, but
Yeah.
that 2004 is one instance, certainly, and then 2017,
Shoaib got 4 wickets, is it?
Shoaib got 4 wickets, yes.
Yeah.
Not Shoaib Malik, Shoaib Akhtar.
No. I don't know why I'm laughing. There's no reason to laugh there. Yeah. Shoaib Malik was a decent bowler.
Very
too.
good player.
Yeah.
For in white ball cricket, very good player.
Long career. He was in
Yes, very long
75 by the
career.
time he stopped playing.
He's still playing, isn't he?
Still playing in the leagues and all that. Yeah. And he's fit, huh? You see him?
Yes.
Stomach is in and all that. Again, we digress. Let's look at a couple of the others in between. So we started 98.
No, I think in the 2017 World Cup, we must mention Mohammad Amir.
Yeah.
He was also on the comeback trail.
Yeah.
After
God knows.
the
So-called jail sentence.
yeah,
and what
all
have
of
you,
that,
yeah.
and being away from the game for 5 years. comes
And
back.
touted in the early days when he was 18 as the next Wasim Akram and could swing the ball.
Correct. And we
Similar
talked
action.
about skills. Zahir Khan, we mentioned, very skillful
Yeah,
bowler.
yeah.
Mohammad Amir was that kind.
But was he the same when he came back in 17?
I think he had a on-off career after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He was still playing. Recently also he played in the T20 World
Yeah,
Cup.
they called him back for the World Cup.
Yeah. So, one of those lost to cricket for long periods of time. I thought he was very skilled. He was in a sense, as they say, born to the manner born. He was a born cricketer because he had the skill. Some of them were inborn.
Correct.
Like Wasim Akram.
This is the last generation of these super skilled Pakistanis, it looks like.
Yes. He and Mohammad Asif actually had made
yeah.
a very good combo. And then Shoaib Akhtar.
Yeah. Pace of Akhtar, movement from these two.
Yes.
Swing from Amir as well with the new ball. They had everything going for them.
And his opening burst is really finished off the final in Pakistan's favour and India
Right.
lost. So,
No, 2000 when we lost the Champions
Yes.
Trophy. Then we lose 2003 World Cup 50 overs.
Yes.
Then we lose 2017 Champions Trophy, and then 23 World Cup.
Yes.
This is off the top of my head.
But as I mentioned,
T20 World Cup we lost
yes.
as well.
And
Yeah.
but I think it's reaching the final more consistently than any other team is also extraordinary. So you mentioned we've lost and other teams have won, but it's not the same team which has won all the time.
That's true.
Some of those teams have finished bottom of the.
But the good thing you look at, as you said, look at from this perspective that we are always 1, 2 or 3. We're always there in all three formats.
I think in the last 10, 15 years, maybe from 2010, say from the 2011 World Cup,
Yeah.
India has been the best team across formats.
Across,
for
if you
consistency-
combined, as a combined,
For
yeah.
consistency in performance. You
Yeah.
know, so semi-finals of the World Cup, ODI, or the final, or winning
I
the
would only
T20
argue
World Cup.
possibly Australia
Australia perhaps.
close to
Yes,
them. That's
yes,
it.
yes.
But I agree with you absolutely.
Australia ahead because they won more titles.
They won more titles and
2015, 2023 ODI World Cups,
Yeah.
T20 World Cup in
Yeah.
2021.
yeah.
Test
At
World
this
Test
point, I'm just saying,
Championship.
yeah, fair. No, it's a fair point. So I think
That's why the India-Australia rivalry is like.
No, Ayaz, that's why we get you on. Because your perspective is always better. It's both more romantic and it's more holistic. In the sense that because you go back so many years, you can see the growth of Indian cricket. So there's a lot of positivity from your point of view always. Because you can see that now we're a huge force. Well, we, as you look at it only from a 2 or 3 year period, you start saying, oh, why did we lose this? Why did we lose that?
So I want to take you back. You mentioned at the start about, Champions Trophy, how unfortunate West Indies is not there or Sri Lanka. It's unfortunate. But remember, teams like Afghanistan have started doing really well in white ball cricket,
Yeah.
whether it's T20 or ODIs. They wouldn't have been allowed otherwise, if you take only the top 8 teams because
So it's like
difficult
birth and death is what you're saying.
Yes.
Somebody has to go and somebody has to come.
Yes.
So just
yes. Ireland have had some famous victories in ODI cricket. So
you have to understand, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and so for West Indies dominance to just suddenly disappear, it's even now, it's almost like you're
I
drunk
think
or
the
something. It just
geographical
makes sense.
extension of the sport also is important. You have to take it to newer countries, get them interested. Look at
Which is Jagmohan Dalmia's idea.
which was his idea,
Yeah.
and look at I think what's happening in the US, for instance. Suddenly getting big on cricket. Silicon Valley tech giants are buying teams in hundreds in England.
But do
They have
non-immigrant,
Major League Cricket tournament coming
if
up.
Donald Trump doesn't mind, do non-immigrants really take to the game
I think that
beyond the cricket immigrant
remember first time
country
Trump
people?
came to India, he was at the Narendra Modi Stadium where cricket is played.
Oh,
so
so
he got
it's in his
and
DNA.
He
It's in his-
mentioned Tendulkar's name and Kohli's name there,
Yeah.
so he's been taught a bit of cricket.
I'm sure he's been following their career. He's on Insta with both of them right now as we speak. IDFC First Fact. Among all the men's ICC tournaments, the Champions Trophy holds 2 unique distinctions. It's the only ICC tournament which saw a trophy being shared, which happened in 2002, India-Sri Lanka. And in 1998, when the first tournament happened in Bangladesh, without Bangladesh, it was also the first and last time an ICC men's tournament was held without the host country being part of it. Of course, if it moves to China, possible. Let's look at 2013 Champions Trophy, where we had a final positive result because
Yes.
looking at it always from the point of view
I
of
was doing
losing.
commentary at that time in England.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
How much you get paid? Silence.
kept me going till now. So
We played all the games there. All right, take us to 2013.
no, I think fresh from a win in the 2011 World Cup, India was I thought the team which looked the best equipped to win, and they did. There were some little bit of some hiccup, not in terms of a loss or anything, but I think the big issue at that point in time was inclement weather, and which would change the conditions. In the course of a match, it could happen.
Just look at the squad. 11 we win, 13 we win. Dhoni is the captain, but the squad changes.
The squad changed. Quite a few players who played the 2011 World Cup where we won were not there. There was no Sehwag and Gambhir. Their kind of omission from the team came quite suddenly. One day they were there, the next they weren't.
And normally it would hamper a team when you lose Sehwag, Gambhir,
Yes.
Zahir Khan,
Yes.
Yuvraj.
So these were stellar performers.
So
in
almost half the
2000s.
team has changed, and you'd expect us not to do that well.
But it showed the reserve strength, the bench strength of India. You had guys like Kohli and Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan.
On
and
the rise.
Ravindra Jadeja, who was man of the match in the final.
Yeah.
All coming into their own, so to speak. And then for the next 7, 8, 10 years,
This
that
was a
decade,
defining
that
generation
decade,
of
they
cricketers.
become
Well, some of them are
the
still
core.
there right now as we speak.
Yes, they are.
And are off to Dubai to
Yeah,
make
of
us
course,
proud and bring us back the CT, the Champions Trophy. Thank you, Ayaz. That was Ayaz Memon on the Champions Trophy unique special episode. And we're doing it because we're about to go into the Champions Trophy 2025. And we're wishing the Indian team, our boys, the best of luck. And they're going to come back with the CT, the Champions Trophy, and present it to me as well in future episodes. See you soon.